There we go. Racism? Is that what it is when Big Tex is white? You have to see some video that I had not seen until just recently about that, and what the woke leftists who run the State Fair of Texas, and you got to see this whole thing with a city official proposing they darken the skin of Big Tex. And we'll play that for you in just a few. Also, a new mega data center, if you will, a 1.1 million square foot data center coming to North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Westlake. And people are apoplectic about it. Willie Nelson also is super PO that there's one coming by him. And I also want to get into Talarico, a brand new Fox News poll that is good for Talarico and not good for Paxton. I'll tell you what I think about that and give you the details. And then, can you get a ticket? Can you get a ticket if you have somebody that's in your car and you're driving and they are not buckled up? Can you get the ticket? All that coming up. Trump also talking about an agreement for Hamas to lay down their arms and a new government coming in. I'll tell you about my thoughts on that. Some stuff on Iran, too. This is Croc Talk with Chris Croc, brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin's been my CPA for 10 years, and he's incredible. Definitely use him. Okay, what do I have for you? First of all, this is crazy. This is from the Parks, Trails, and Environmental Committee. I believe it's a city official or a city council member. I don't know. But here she is, this incompetent twit woman is calling for Big Tex, the massive hulking statue, if you will, or whatever, a massive doll of a man in his howdy folks outfit, welcoming you to the State Fair of Texas. Watch this crazy lady who literally doesn't know what the word melatonin means. She thinks that melanin, which is your skin pigmentation, is melatonin. And this is so much fun. Here we go.
All right, last but not least, who makes a decision about the melatonin of Big Tex?
How much melatonin do you give Big Tex when it's time for him to go to bed? Do you give him 5 milligrams? Do you give him 3 milligrams? Some use 10. What do you use to put Big Tex to sleep is what she's saying, apparently. Melatonin.
All right, last but not least, who makes a decision about the melatonin of Big Tex?
Sorry.
Melatonin. Can he be tanned?
Now, the lady you're hearing is this blonde lady who's a nasal. She talks nasally. She's the woke spokesperson. You're going to see her in a second for the State Fair of Texas, who said that she doesn't want people like you and me that are lawful carry owners, gun owners, to carry concealed because she wants to go home safe to her family. So they banned us from carrying guns all over a thug who was illegally carrying a gun and shot up the food court a couple of years back at the State Fair. So it's not the State Fair of Texas, it's State Fair of California. So watch these woke leftists who run the State Fair of Texas, aka California. Watch them dance around this because they're entertaining this fool, this woman. Here we go.
I'm sorry.
Melatonin. Can he be tanned?
Can he be his skin color? Over time the sun will bleach his skin. And
Can you freaking believe this? Now, the woman on the right is the one I told you about. She's nasally and she's a spokesperson, and she wants to go home to her children because she's threatened by lawful carriers of guns. Look at these idiots dance. Watch this.
Let me break it on down because it's 11:08. We need to know if we can get a more diverse reflection of the melatonin of Big Tex. Is it a problem with him looking like he's perhaps an African American face or a cultural? You know what I'm saying? It's a tanning process.
Yeah.
So how do y'all get to that decision so we can look like we're more inclusive and diverse?
Can we get some baby oil and rub down Big Tex and watch him in the sun turn a darker color?
That's a big elephant in the room on that one. I just want to bring it on out because I keep getting asked that question.
That's a question I've never been asked, so I'm not quite...
An elephant in the room is whether Big Tex can go from being white to black.
Sure, I know the answer off the top of my head. I know that, we have a company that has built Big
Hey, maybe they should have pled the fifth like Fauci did.
Tex, and they built him to the specifications based on what he has been historically, and unfortunately we had the incident where he burned in 2012.
He sure was dark when he was burning on. Remember that when he burned alive? That was so funny. He sure was darker then.
And we had to rebuild from scratch, and they built him to look like he did previously. So.
All right. Well, could y'all look at that? Because Beyonce is changing the way we perceive Texas and Big Tex and all things Texan. So seriously, I think it would help us just in terms of just standing on the business of being diverse and inclusive.
Yes, we must have a black Big Tex. Some people have been sending in some suggestions, by the way. Here's one. I did not make these up, but these are on responses on this viral video that came out the other day. I guess it's from last year, but it's just so funny. Here's one person said this is what the new Big Tex can look like. Big Timmy, I don't know. Here we go. Then here we go. Here's another one. Or Big Leroy, I don't know. Here is another. Somebody also said this is another one you could be for Big Tex. I don't know. Let's go back to the video though. Here, let me cue that video up to play the rest of it. It's just a little bit left.
Even if it's light brown, I mean, the light brown could be. Come on, Jesse, come on. See here, you just won't know, but it's a different take on it. So I'm very serious about that you all have that conversation and get back with us, and Ms. Liz, if you could deal with that as well. But I can't tell you, I'm just excited.
They're smiling. They're smiling. What the hell are you talking about, lady?
About what you're doing. I am from Austin, Texas, so we had nothing like this there. So this was a learning experience. But as you grow, we can't help but grow even more so if we are all inclusive and we let folks.
All right, enough of that. All right, I just got some breaking news that just came across the wire from Unusual Wales. U.S. mortgage rates rise to 6.66%, the highest level in a year. This is bull bleep. When we go in a little bit to the Talarico polling numbers that have him leading Paxton by a small margin, the number one thing that everybody says, Hispanics, whites, everybody in the state of Texas in this Fox News poll, is the freaking economy. And I can't tell you how many people that are rabid Trump supporters, voted for him every time like myself, that are so pissed off about the economy. This is a BFD, and we're going to lose if we don't get the economy done. And you know what about Iran? Finish the frickin' job, Mr. President. And I'm going to mention this in a little bit, where he talks about, they hit us, now we're going to hit them. No, tit for tat is what you do when you're playing patty cake with somebody that can whip your asses or is equivalent to you. Beat the crap out of them. Finish the job. End this now. 4 weeks to cripple the regime. Encourage a regime change. Let Israel loose to kill all those bastards, and let Israel, the CIA, and Mossad plan some stuff to get some stuff in to have an uprising. After that, finish the job, Mr. President, and then fix the economy, which he can do. But damn it. Marcos Lopez chiming in. God gave me my melatonin. That's exactly right. My wife, can I tell you the funniest thing in the world, Marcos? And here's what else. Yeah, he wants to laugh so hard. My wife, you want to hear something funny? My wife, Faye, every other day, she and sometimes my son will say, do you have any melatonin? And I have a line, because I haven't taken melatonin for sleep in like 5 years. I take medications to help knock me out. And every time they ask me for melatonin, I'm like, I say the same line that I've told them like 50 times over the past 5 years. I haven't taken melatonin in years. I don't know where it is. Yet they still ask me. How would I know where the melatonin is if I don't take melatonin? Why would I keep track of it in my house? Now I need some help down here. And we need to turn Big Tex black, okay? All right, what's next? 1.1 million square foot data center campus coming to Westlake. This is from the Star Telegram. What we know so far. 1.1 million square foot data center. It straddles Tarrant and Denton counties. will sit on 88 acres, will include 4 buildings, total of 1.1 million square feet. Meta's data center in North Fort Worth sits in roughly 170 acres, 2.5 million square feet. Now, what about electricity? And let's get in this too. Willie Nelson slams, quote, water thieving data centers in Texas. And there's one by Willie's house in Abbott, Texas, they're looking at building. And he says the last thing we need is a loud, water thieving, light polluting data center anywhere near our town or any others that matter. Quote, the strength of rural America never comes from big industrial footprints. It comes from generations of people, open spaces, local businesses, and connection to the land. Now, Willie is wrong. And people that are attacking data centers are wrong. And I'm serious, because golf courses do a hell of a lot more, suck up a hell of a lot more water every single day than do data centers across the country. Number 2, almond farms in California alone blow the doors, just almond farms in California only, blow the doors off of what is used for data centers in a year, compared to year to year. Number 2, as far as electricity, that's a huge no-no for me, especially in the state of Texas with our own grid, and we've had problems, which I'm going to get into on solar and wind in a little bit too, a story about that. But look at this, though, the one in Westlake, and you have neighboring Keller mayor flipping out and saying, I'm not supporting this, I can't stop it, but I'm not supporting. But hold on. It's noise pollution, which is a very valid thing. It's sight, ugliness, it is water, and it is electricity. Electricity, in this one I'm about to share with you, they are buying and creating their own power plant. That's what they need to do. Water, 85% of the year, they don't use any water. A lot of the new ones like this one that's going to come online in the near future don't use water for cooling, believe it or not. Only 15% of the year. I'll share more in a second. The point is this. You can be against data centers. That's fine. I don't think they should be so close to our residences or anything like that. I agree with you on that. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But wherever we put them, if we don't put them up and keep putting them up, then China will, and they're already kicking our ass in AI, then, because they have no rules, no regulations, no nothing. Whatever the government wants, the government gets. We know that. If they win the AI race, we're screwed. There's just all there is to it. So, let me get into this. And because another thing that's been brought up, I fill in for 2 Salem stations. Salem is a conservative Christian company. I fill in regularly in Chicago and Dallas. I'm doing 3 or 4 days for Mark Davis coming up in, I think, a month or less. I was just filling in for him a couple weeks ago for, whatever, and they're booking me up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I fill in for Chicago's station for Salem as well. They're both called The Answer. And I will be on in Chicago again on Wednesday next week. And I have the people at The Answer, really, Mark Davis's producer and others. But Mark's producer, Rhonda Kay, she booked a data center guy these are all conservative people, and who said that not only are these facts as far as why the data centers are not the big bad wolf, but also that it is quite possible that our adversaries, China, Russia, Iran, particularly China and Russia, maybe even North Korea, but are possibly funding efforts and doing stuff online to encourage people to freak out about data centers, to say no, so that they can win the AI race and we don't. Let me continue about this one in Westlake, Texas. Residents won't see an increase in electricity or water costs. The city's water supply and reliability, the Star Telegram reports, will not be impacted. I repeat, water supply and reliability will not be impacted. The data center operates without water for roughly 85% of the year. Water will only be used for cooling during the, quote, warmest periods, which is about 15% of the year, according to the city of Westlake. Number 2, the full data center campus is expected to use 54 million gallons of water per year. What is 54 million gallons? Less than what one golf course in Texas consumes. So, one data center consumes less than one golf course. And it's the equivalent of the usage of, watch this, one of Westlake's existing corporate campuses. If you're going to be pissed off at a new data center in Westlake for water, then you first must be pissed off at every corporate campus in Westlake. So if you want to take out data centers, the new ones that are much more efficient, if you want to take those out, then first start with the existing ones existing places, corporate campuses that take just as much water per the equivalent. News release also stated, the Star Telegram says, that the data center will be paid Encore. The data center, the new one in Westlake, paid Encore, the power folks, to bring, quote, infrastructure to the west side of Westlake with a 350 megawatt substation near the pump station. So they're providing their own electricity. They're paying for it. Noise will be equivalent, and this is key too. I'm with you 110%. Noise will be equivalent to a household refrigerator. Mine's a little loud sometimes. According to the information from the city, the developer will install noise buffers and landscaping on the south side along US 377. The city says, now here's the key too that I learned. The data centers are ugly. They're not doing that anymore. They're building them to look good like a corporate facility would look, and they should. The noise pollution, they're also building them so you don't hear stuff like this is going to be, and I'll give you the decibels in a second. Number 3, the water, as I already mentioned, and number 4, the electricity. Those are all the concerns. The new ones are addressing all that. I sound like I'm selling for them, but I'm not. The city data center will comply with Westlake's noise ordinances, which are not to exceed 56 decibels between 7A and 7P, so during the day, and 49 between 7P and 7A. 49 decibels, I think, is really quiet, considering. Westlake will also gain, listen to this. This is another thing, because there is a small town in Louisiana I read about. I can't remember exact details, but they literally gave every teacher in the county a bonus of like 30 grand or 40 grand or something insane, because the data center juiced up the tax revenue insanely for that small town. Now, in Westlake, look at this. Westlake's going to gain 14% of additional revenue every year. Can you imagine your city suddenly getting 14% more revenue into the city? What that'll do for your taxes, what that'll do for your town. Number 2, the data center will provide consistent long-term revenue with $5 million for the first 10 years and $7 million every year after that, according to the news release. The data center will be about 2/3 of a mile from the nearest Westlake home, so that's fair. Keller Mayor Ross McMullen is freaking out. Oh, it's not me. I didn't approve. I can't do anything. I can assure you that data centers are not allowed to be right anywhere in Keller, he says. So there you go. And you don't have to agree with me, but that's just the truth, and I've learned a lot. Willie Nelson slams the water thieving centers. I told you about that. Now, coming up next, a couple of things. Number 1, I got Hamas is supposedly agreeing to lay down their arms in agreement with President Trump that he announced with his Board of Peace. I'll tell you my thoughts on that. Also, illegal truck drivers. Trump did a massive announcement of a massive crackdown on illegal truck drivers. This is something that I'm very near and dear to. I've talked a lot about this, and I'll get into that coming up next. And then, can you get a ticket for having a passenger in your car? Not you, but can you get a ticket for the passenger who's not seatbelted? You can in Texas if certain requirements are certain things happen. And then the Talarico polling from Fox News that just came out today that shows him over what's his name, Paxton. All that coming up in just a minute, plus a new video coming out about Talarico trashing the Bible being introduced in Texas classrooms. This is just unbelievable from a guy who claims to be a Christian. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS taxes, IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Here's Randy and the gang and me 10 years ago when we first started working together and I started endorsing them. Randy's been my CPA ever since. He's freaking incredible, all right? 2025 was the biggest test for me because that was my first year as a small business owner not being employed by another company. Here's Randy speaking in his alma mater, UT Austin, to the Chirins. He went there too. It's the best school for accountancy in the state of Texas. So if you have an IRS problem, or if you have somebody who passed away in your household or maybe your parents passed away and there's tax issues, or you have taxes for you personally or your company, go to IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, or call 214-214-3000, 214-214-3000, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. And by the way, I'm now going to show you, I told you that Due West Foundation and Plumbing, I'm wearing their gear today. My friend Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement, locally in Dallas-Fort Worth on radio, in Houston and in Austin, and on television. Jim owns Due West Foundation and Plumbing along with his two sons, Adam and Johan. Jim's dad started the company in the 70s. They're incredible. They've taught me everything. They've done every plumbing work and every foundation work in my house for 11, almost 12 years now. Let me show you what they just did. They were at the house the other day. First of all, my TP valve or TPS valve, whatever it's called, it's a little valve on top of your water heater. There's their plumber, one of their plumbers, replacing the T and P valve, or T. I can't remember what it's called. I should have looked it up. Here they are, too, on the same day. Look at that. Does that look familiar? I had a clog in my my drain line from my kitchen. Yeah, I tried it myself, by the way, but it didn't work. So they were just here this past week, and they are the best. If you want the best, call Due West. Foundation, plumbing, and don't ever use separate plumber that doesn't also do foundation, or a foundation that doesn't use plumbing. They will blame each other for the problems that happen. I'm telling you, go with the best. Go to Due West, du-west.com. That's du-west.com, or call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later about my roofing company that I endorse. That's just incredible. Blue Ribbon Roofing. New pictures. I got new pictures. They're putting up shutters. They're painting all sorts of stuff for highlights from some of the damage. It looks amazing. But first, Hamas. Hamas agrees to a complete disarmament under, quote, historic Gaza agreement, says President Trump. Now, I hope he's right. Hamas and everybody in Gaza, well, Hamas are terrorists. We all know that. Funded and trained by Iran, one of their proxies. But here's something you have to know. 3/4, 72% of every Gazan, every person living in Gaza, after Hamas tortured, raped, murdered, and kidnapped, and sexually assaulted, satanically sexually assaulted over 1,000 people, and kidnapped a couple hundred at least, and violated the ceasefire by attacking Israel. 72% of them in Gaza, polled, said they loved Hamas, they supported Hamas. What does that mean? They loved killing Jews, raping them. That's 3/4 of everybody there. So I don't believe this, but I hope he's right. I do. I don't think he wants to put his foot in his mouth. Here's what he's got. And there's other countries involved in this. Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. Trump announced today, Thursday, that a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza, brokered by the Board of Peace alongside Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, to pave the way for a new Palestinian government in Gaza. Gaza, quote, finally being governed by a new Palestinian government that will work closely with the Board of Peace to help Palestinian people, is what Trump said in a post. Gaza will no longer be, quote, used as a base for terror attacks. A new police force will be established. Israel will get out. It's pretty amazing. I hope this is true. I really, really do. So we'll see. One of the things I wanted to mention that I thought about, I wrote my little notes here, as I'm riding on my exercise bike in the room next to me. And I print the internet and I read through a lot of stuff and decide what I want to talk about after that. But I wrote in here, Iran never would have done the October 7th attack if it knew what would come of this. I do still believe that Iran never would have done it if they would have known how it would have played out, that 2 layers of the entire regime would be eliminated. I know it's the same regime. We've not achieved squat. I'm pissed, as I've been telling you for months, that Trump needs to finish the job, okay? And so that's what he needs to do. But I do believe that Iran never would have done the attack with Hamas on Israel had it known how this would unfold. I do believe that. And if Gaza does, quote-unquote, disarm, I don't believe it. But if it does, that would be unbelievable, okay? We'll see. Israel needs to be unleashed. General Jack Keane, who's a Fox News contributor, he's the head of the head of the Institute for the Study of War as well, and he's in on a lot of conversations with the high ups in the Trump administration, the Pentagon, and stuff like that, because that's who he is and that's who he's always has been. He said that Trump, he needs to unleash Israel. They're ready to help finish the job off, and then, like I mentioned earlier, the Mossad and CIA can get in there and help the folks there gin up and fight back and overthrow the government. If we do this right, I'm saying not tit for tat like what Trump's been doing for 2 months, which is a freaking joke. They don't want to deal badly. President Trump. They don't want to freaking deal. They're terrorists. They want to kill us. If they survive, which they've been, that is all they need. That is a victory for the Islamist regime. Hear me out. This is not exaggeration. This is utter, sheer, definitive truth. that if the Iranian regime, if they don't get overthrown, then this will be a victory for them. Doesn't matter how many missiles have been blown up. Doesn't matter how many facilities blown up. It does not matter. That is how they look at things. If they survive, they win, and they've defeated the great Satan. This cannot pass. Trump needs to rip the frickin' Band-Aid off, like I've been saying for 2 months, and finish the fricking job. Solar, wind, and energy. Tell me how you really feel, Chris, right? Solar, wind, and energy are keeping Texans cool this summer, says the Dallas Morning News. Yeah, right. Solar, wind, and energy are not keeping Texans cool this summer. Solar, wind, and wind energy have artificially profited in this state by federal incentivization. And so what happened was the federal government, and it was George Bush was the first governor to allow this. Rick Perry was another one, and Abbott as well. Abbott received a freaking award from the, I believe, wind industry a week or two before our almost near collapse of our grid. And I told you that he should have come out and said, I apologize for taking this award. I'm giving this award back. And we need to do everything we can to incentivize natural gas, coal-fired power plants, and nuclear to proliferate in our state. And so here's the Dallas Morning News to say, oh, your grid would be nothing without solar and wind. Solar and wind only proliferated in this state because the federal government incentivized with tons of our taxpayer dollars, because the energy companies don't care if they build solar and wind or if they build nuclear or if they build natural gas. They just want to make money. Cool. But they have been doubly rewarded with federal subsidies, and that's why so much solar and wind are on our grid. And that's why, I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you how many times I've talked about and tweeted and retweeted a graphic from the Wall Street Journal that shows the day before, the day of, and the days after, with the grid almost collapsing during that winter storm, Uri, I think it was called. You see solar and wind go to zero and said zero, okay? From 5 or 10%. Collapses, or 20 or 30% to collapses to zero. Natural gas, literally, as they say in Spinal Tap, cranked it up to 11. Natural gas went way up. The reason why our grid didn't collapse, and a total collapse would have meant we would have no electricity in the state for 4 months. I'm not exaggerating. That is the truth. The reason why it didn't collapse is because natural gas saved the day. Coal saved a little bit. It went up fairly well, but nothing compared to natural gas. Natural gas is like 10 times or 5 or 10 times what it normally does. They can do that. You can't do that with solar and wind. We should never have any of our baseload power. What is baseload? Baseload says we have, I'll just make up a number, I think we have about 28 million people in Texas. However much power we need on our day-to-day basis for the 28 million people in Texas, that's our baseload. Humming along, hum, okay? And what's happened is, from the federal subsidies, 30% of that energy has turned to wind and solar. And that's why our grid almost collapsed, because we have allowed wind and solar to comprise 30% of our base load. And here comes the Dallas Morning News, July 29th, yesterday, to tell us how awesome wind and solar is. Lie. A couple of lines from this. Texans, it just shows how critical solar and wind have become for coping with high demand. No. It should be above the base load. If you want that, that's great. It should never be a part of our base load. Like President Trump said, otherwise, honey, we can't watch TV. We have no power, like he has always said. There's no sun. There's no wind. Dallas Morning News says one state senator introduced a bill that would have added layers of permits and environmental regulations to the sitting solar and wind farms. Yes, because the blades, first of all, the blades kill tons of birds. Number two, the blades from the windmills, they are the size of a school bus, one blade. You know how big they are. You've seen them, right? But they're actually physically the size of a school bus, one of those blades. And guess what happens when they have to be replaced? They never disintegrate. They are waste, and there are certain particles or chemicals or metals, whatever, in those things that are toxic. You're bearing a freaking school bus. Now multiply 2 school buses on each side of the blade times, you drive through, you and I have driven through Amarillo, right, the Panhandle, and you see them everywhere, right? It smells like cow dung as you're leaving and coming into Amarillo from the cows and the cattle, and then you see the solar and wind stuff. Those are being buried. In fact, we have a massive case. I believe it was this Texas Scorecard at Dallas Express reported on this, that our legislature and some officials ordered this company. They were literally dumping the blades dumping them. Hundreds and hundreds, if not more than hundreds, maybe thousands of blades that are bad for our ground, our groundwater, or bad for, they're just buried illegally. That's horrible. Number two, the solar panels are made in China. Almost all of them are made in China. Number three on that is that the Los Angeles Times did a story, because as you know, LA has had solar panels for well over 25 years. They usually expire around 25 years, and guess what? They bury those solar panels, and guess what's in them? Heavy metals. Guess where they believe, Los Angeles Times says they believe they might be leaking into? The groundwater. So you can tell I'm PO'd again. So hard pass to that, all right? Trump launches initiative to replace illegal alien truck drivers with veterans. It started with Florida, the Indian illegal who was driving a truck, and literally, it's 2 lanes this way and 2 lanes this way on the highway, right? The illegal is driving in these 2 lanes, and he literally does a U-turn illegally. There's a car coming, there's 2 lanes. He's in this lane, car here, going this way. They're going the same way. The illegal does a U-turn and comes around like that, and literally the people driving go right under his trailer, and he murders 3 of them. He murders 3 of them because of his negligence. He fled. They extradited him from California. Separately, another illegal alien Indian guy. These are both Indian people in these 2 cases. Literally, it was stop-and-go traffic ahead. He plowed right into stop-and-go traffic at full speed and killed 3 people. He disintegrated one of the cars. He killed a beloved volleyball coach. Another case, this is unbelievable. I fill in, as you know, all over the country. And I was filling in Portland, Oregon around Thanksgiving last year. And I saw a story, and everything the way it looked was a jackknife semi on a highway, killed a beautiful young couple, newlyweds, in shocker, their Subaru. Of course, that's Portland, Oregon. And I said, how much do you want to bet this is illegal? I said, I don't know, but I'll bet you this is illegal. I literally was filling in again a month later for Christmas time for that station in Portland, and wouldn't you know, it officially came out. A couple was killed by an illegal truck driver. They're killing us all over this freaking country. My friends, one of my daughter's best friends, he is from the Dominican Republic. He served in our military. He came here from the DR. He served in our military. He served even partially on Gitmo for some of his time. And he said it was horrible, and they got into fights and drank, and that's all there was on the island. It was miserable and boring, he said. But he was a truck driver for years, and I said he came over with his daughter to pick up some stuff for college. My wife sells and buys stuff, so she was coming to buy some stuff for her dorm room. And I said, hey, I was working out on the other side of this room. I said, hey, how you doing? How's trucking going? Because he's been a trucker for years. He goes, horrible. I said, what happened? He said, the illegals have taken our jobs. And he said everything I've been saying. He said, it's like they're driving sandals, flip-flops, and they don't speak any English. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen body cam video footage of state troopers. Oh, in Indiana, there were Amish guys on the side of the road, in their buggy in Indiana, and there was the trucker swerved around because he was going to slam into a car from behind, and he killed the Amish people. That was in Indiana like a month or 2 ago. One more thing. In Oklahoma, the state police, in conjunction with ICE, did a sting, and they literally got so many truckers, and they pulled over every truck. They got so many truckers in the first day they had to shut down the operation because they didn't have enough room to put the trucks in. They got 7 trucks in a row, but they got 7 trucks from illegals confiscated that day. The next day, they came back 2 or 3 days later because they had to get a much bigger lot. The next day, they got like 17 truckers in one day. By the end of the week, all the truckers, the illegals, were rerouting around Oklahoma. In the Panhandle, our Texas state troopers did a sting with ICE. They got about 30% of all truck drivers that were driving are illegals that we busted. Up in Wyoming, the sheriff did a similar sting. 33% of what he pulled over were illegal, of truck drivers were illegals. This is a pandemic or whatever, an epidemic of illegals that are driving 80,000 pounds. And I don't know how familiar with this, but I'm vaguely familiar with a little bit. And these trucks it takes them like a football field or 2 football fields to stop when it takes us a quarter of a football field. You know, it is insanely deadly, and they're driving and they're killing us. So Trump announced a brand new initiative for veterans. I'm so happy to hear this. I really am. Getting a little bit of goosebumps. He announced the Freedom Haul. That's what he's calling it. It's making those who have driven a heavy truck for the military automatically eligible for a commercial driver's license within 2 years of the end of their service. I love it. Also, they are having an expedited system for veterans who are not truck drivers in the military. They'll be licensed. They're going to pass. They're going to be given a very quick pass. We're going to teach them, says Trump. They'll be licensed in a matter of a few weeks. They're going to take about 3 or 4 weeks of training. 34 states. How much you want to bet they're all red states? And some blue states, but mostly probably red. I'm sure they're all red states. 34 states have signed on to the initiative that truck drivers who are veterans accounted for 42% fewer accidents. Truck drivers who are veterans. I just want to thank you, God, for giving our veterans this, because you can make good money. And this is so huge, guys. Oh, just a few weeks ago, there was Pennsylvania. You may have seen this. A few weeks ago, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed by an illegal from Haiti driving a semi-truck who was led in by Joe Biden. Biden has killed so many of our people and raped and murdered and maimed so many of our people. In 2025, there were 20 deaths from illegal alien truck drivers. So here you go. This was all from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy's order enforcing English proficiency requirement for truck drivers. Can you imagine that? They don't speak English. The president said Thursday his administration has taken 24,000 drivers who can't speak the English off the roadways. We've also forced states to cancel more than 28,000 commercial driver licenses unlawfully issued to illegals. Good. By the way, they're not driver's licenses. They're driver licenses. If you look at your license, it won't say driver apostrophe S or driver's S. It's just driver license, because there's one driver with one license. Little sidebar, little things. Trust me, I make a lot of grammatical errors, I know. I'm just telling you the little ones I know. That's all. How about that? Okay, let me do this too. I'm going to show you a few pictures. Coming up next, the question is, can you get a ticket? Can you get a ticket for having a passenger in your car that is not wearing a seatbelt? The answer might surprise you. That plus a brand new Fox News poll on Talarico. He is leading Paxton. I'll tell you my thoughts on that. But first, I just got a brand new roof. I got Class 4 shingles. This is what you need to ask for. Class 4 shingles can save you up to 40% off of your insurance policy, depending on what your insurance policy says. For me, it was 11%, which is $613 a year I just saved by getting Class 4 shingles per year, in perpetuity, if you will. Number 2, I got a brand new roof. With the brand new roof, I'm now saving, and the Class 4 shingles, I'm saving $2,200 per year. My insurance went from $5,500 a year for my homeowner's insurance to $3,500 or $3,300. It's unbelievable. So, also, if you haven't gotten a roof put on for 7 or 8 years, you need to get Blue Ribbon DFW, Blue Ribbon Roofing, on your roof to inspect it, because a lot of insurance policies, not all, I have USA, they don't do this yet. A lot of insurance policies at 7 or 8 years and after, you will not get the full amount to replace the roof. You get actual cash value versus real cash value. You'll have to pay the difference aside from your deductible. Get Blue Ribbon Roofing on your house to check it out. I thought there was no way in hell there was damage. Here we were on top of my roof. Let me show you. This is John Hopkins. He's a freaking riot. He's a friend. And here we are on my roof.
See that white line?
Yeah, what is that? And this is my old roof.
That's the fiberglass mat underneath the shingle, meaning all the shingle's gone. Now you're down to the fiberglass mat.
I never would have recognized any of this or noticed it.
Of course you wouldn't. It'd be like you handing me your microphone. I don't know anything about it.
Do you want to do a show for me?
I don't know anything about it. I got to depend on you.
All right, so look at that roof, though. You see it.
I think you wanted that. I guess I'll do the show then.
Yeah, you do the show, and I'll do the roofing.
That was a lot of fun. Now let me show you the new roof, what it looks like. We got black to have a pop. You'll see some. We're painting some accents on the house too, and putting up new shutters. They're doing an amazing job. This is my new roof, though. All right, and then also here's different pictures of it. Also, I have. Look at this. They replaced the decking. My last roofer from 7 years ago either didn't care or didn't know. Either way, it's bad. that roof, my decking is so soggy when I walk on it. It was too thin. It's not up to code. And if you're replacing a roof, you have to replace the decking if it's too thin. Mine was. John Hopkins from Blue Ribbon Roofing knew that. And so guess what? I got a whole new decking too. So everything on the top of the house is new except for the studs underneath, the roof. He puts radiant barrier under there too, so it's going to save me a lot of money and energy. I told John Hopkins this. They are the Porsche of roofers. They really are. So go to blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com. There's John, Tish, husband, wife on the right, and on the left, John's son, Trevor, and his wife, Jenny. She's the first person I spoke to. Go to blueribbondfw.com. That's blueribbondfw.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. You can get a ticket in Texas, by the way. You can get a ticket if you have a passenger who's under a certain age without a seatbelt in your car. Let's go to that. A passenger at least 15 years old can get a ticket. If you're 15 or older, you can get the ticket, but, if you're a passenger. However, you or I could get a ticket or fine if we have we're operating a vehicle with passengers that do not have seatbelts on the passenger in question under 17 years of age. Okay? I'm going to tell you a short story. I messed up. My daughter's looking for a car. She wanted me to come with her, which is flattering, and she wanted that daddy help, if you will. We also brought along our mechanic, who I've told you about for years, he's a character in a movie. He's a riot. He's hysterical, and he's also a pain in the ass sometimes. He's been our mechanic for over 15 years. And we went to inspect the car that she wanted from a dealership. The car was no good. One of those things you don't know unless you check it out, and he knows what he's doing. He looks up and he sees this car. And he says, "Is that available?" And they said, "We just got it on the lot today." It is a car that has an off-road package on it. It's like an SUV with an off-road package on it. Like, it came with it that way, so it's like really cool. Stick shift. He inspected it through and through, and he said, "This is an incredible car. The price is insanely good. You got to get this." He drove it. I drove it. But guess who didn't drive it? My daughter didn't drive it. I said, "Honey, you're going to learn stick because the car is just that good for the budget that she has." I was teaching her stick, and at the end of the first day, she was crying, and because it's just she can't do all this. She needs to focus. It's who she is. Second of all, the pedal, the clutch to push the two pedals, brake and gas are fine. The clutch, she has to go all the way like this, and she's got her butt up in the air to try to push it, and it was a disaster. So I bought from a mobility store, like a handicap place where you can buy professional stuff, the clutch pedal extender. But within 24 hours, between my mentor and my wife, they both are like, "You messed up. You got the car for you, not for your daughter." And so we've been dealing with that, and I just sold the car today. Dad messed up. It's a little sidebar, little story, and not that I had to. It was all on me, so she's not losing out on a dime. I'm taking all the expenses on and selling the car. In fact, we just sold it today, I believe. But so then we'll be able to go back out into the market with the money. I messed up. Dad messed up. Okay, Talarico, the polling. I'm not going to panic, and I'm not worried, actually. Maybe I should. Maybe you think I should worry and that we should be saying stuff. But Talarico has a 3-point edge over Paxton right now, 51-48 in the Senate contest, according to a Fox News poll put together by a Republican and Democrat pollster. Most independents and virtually all Democrats support Talarico. 68% independents support Talarico, 98% Democrats. Fewer Republicans are unified behind Paxton, 89%. Okay? One quarter of non-MAGA Republicans back Talarico. 24% of non-MAGA Republicans back Talarico. I absolutely believe it's because they don't know the full story about this guy. And that's going to be Ken Paxton and the GOP's job to define this guy. I mean, it's insane. For example, let's play this new gem that came out today about this guy. He is supposed to be a Christian pastor, and he is revolted by having Bible lessons and Bible stuff being introduced to public school kids.
And then the last one is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth, to our youngest students, and I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews, and to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students is deeply immoral.
I want to watch this one more time before I comment.
And then the last one is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean,
if he's a Christian pastor, as he claims to be, then the Bible is the inerrant, infallible Word of God. And he says this is insidious.
Historical fact as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They have.
Okay, Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, for these children such as these, or for these will inherit the kingdom of God. Let the little children come to me, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God." And this guy is saying it's insidious and bad. I'm going to rewind it just a teeny bit more to have children learning about the Bible in school. It's just the guy is a massive fraud.
Graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews, and to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students is deeply immoral.
So he says sharing the Bible with children is deeply immoral. He calls the Bible propaganda. I'm not going to act outraged. He's just not an authentic Christian. Period. I mean, that's all there is to it. And again, I think the common folk that don't like Christian Republicans or Christian nationalists, if you want to call me that, that's fine. I don't care. Expect us to be apoplectic. I'm not going to be apoplectic about it. I'm going to expose it. I'm going to tell you what's going on with it. And in this case, this guy is not a Christian, and he's not a pastor. He's an abomination. That's just all there is to it. However, so I think the more the people know about this guy, the more they will not like him, and the definition needs to start happening now. Here's one more thing. I played this for you yesterday, but you may not have caught it. Here we go.
I know personally that I've learned as much about my faith from Salman's tradition, from the Islamic mystics, from poets like Rumi, as much as I have from Christian authors and Christian writers.
So he's learned a lot about his faith from Muslim mystics or whatever. Well, there's only one way to go to heaven. Jesus said it. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. So, again, the guy's an abomination. Let's go to the polling, some more of it. By a 12-point margin, more voters are concerned Paxton lacks the character to serve as a senator than believe Talarico is too extreme. So more that Paxton lacks the character. 8 and 10, Paxton and Talarico supporters. Here we go. I highlighted this in red. Just one line. This is the money line. 8 and 10 Paxton and Talarico supporters say their backing is more important. 8 and 10 Paxton and Talarico supporters say their backing is more about where the candidates stand on the issues than who they are as people. And that's exactly why I vote for Donald Trump, and that's exactly why I voted for Ken Paxton, because it is the issues and the values. And Ken Paxton has issues for sure. I know that. Doesn't matter. What are his values? Who is he? What are his policies? And are they best aligning with me? Yes. John Cornyn today is refusing to vote for President Trump's, let me make sure I get this exact thing right here. I think the Attorney General. The new Attorney General. Because he's withholding his vote for it. Here we go. Todd Blanche to be Attorney General because Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis will not vote for them. They're holding Trump hostage. John Cornyn has never been a friend of MAGA. John Cornyn has never supported MAGA. John Cornyn is a liar, and he's exposed who he really is after he lost. And he lost because we all know he's not a MAGA guy. And that's fine, but not on our ticket and not in this state. That's why he's out. And he has done this crap time and time again, week after week after week, doing the same attacks on Trump. That's who he always was. but he was pretending and play acting. That's why he told us that Trump shouldn't run in 2024. He can't win, and he wouldn't support him. He's a rhino dirtbag and a fake. If he would have been against Trump before, like he is now, fine, he'd be consistent. I would have more respect for him, but I don't. He's always... And remember what my old producer said. I first started here on KLIF doing afternoons, 570 AM KLIF. My producer, I love him dearly. We worked together for a couple years. Then they made layoffs and stuff like that, so I didn't get to keep him. But his name is Scott. Can't remember his last name, but he's an Arlington ISD teacher now. He's awesome. I love him dearly. Him and his wife and their kids, so cute. Little son Neil with little red hair. He's probably a lot bigger now. But anyway, he said, when I first was new to the area, he said, Cornyn is a joke. I said, why? He goes, when you and I are debating something intensely, all of us are, and in the news, Cornyn's silent. 2 weeks later, when we've already moved on, we've already debated and moved on, Cornyn will come out and go, and then he'll go, I'm taking a strong stance on this. We're like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? We already did this 2 weeks ago. Where have you been? That's who he is. He's a phony and a fake, and he always has been. The GOP right now is underwater by only 2 points in Texas. Democrats are underwater -9 in Texas. 4 and 10. This goes back to what I said earlier. Mortgage rates have hit the highest level in years now at 6.6%. It's just repulsive. And Trump has to fix this, or we're totally screwed. And he's got very little time now. 4 and 10 say inflation is going to be the most important issue in Texas. All right, so there's some of the polling on that and Talarico. What else do I have for you? Oh, you know what? I think I got one more video for you. Let's see. Oh, yes, here we go. This is perfect. This is the Philadelphia Eagles coach today when asked some questions, and he drops a Fauci reference. It's so perfect.
Vic, what's the plan at safety? Is that Marcus's job to lose?
I'm going to be like Fauci and just take the Fifth Amendment on questions. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What was the question?
Yeah, you had that lined up.
There you go. Anthony Fauci's a joke. He's been beclowned 111 times saying, I plead the fifth. This show has been brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS